activist, pro-democracy campaigner and founder of Sahara Reporters, is not shy to play at this level. He aspires to run on the platform of the African Action Congress and will rely on his aggressive style of politicking and popularity amongst the youths to achieve his ambition. He still has to contend with centenarian Nonye Josephine Ezanyeche. 43-year-old Chukwuka Monye is a Nigerian University of Oxford Business School trained innovation strategist and management consultant. Monye says his ambition to become Nigeria's next president is motivated by the failure of past and current leaders to implement solutions that would improve the lives of Nigerians. He has joined the African Democratic Party and will wrestle the nomination ticket alongside Kingsley Moghalu and other presidential candidates within the party. Moghalu is a Nigerian political economist who served as deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria from 2009 to 2014. He was the presidential candidate of the party in 2019. He will leverage on some of that experience in 2023. Moghalu will further fancy his chances with the argument for a president from the southeast. Rabiu Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party is one of the more experienced candidates. The former senator, Minister of Defense and Governor of Kano State served in these capacities under the PDP and APC. Kwankwaso is the brain behind the New Nigeria Political Party and will bring his politicking experience and huge followership of his Kwankwasian movement to bear at the next elections. The name Kola Abiola thus ring a bell in the annals of Nigeria's politics. He is the first son of MKO Abiola, the winner of the annulled June 12 presidential election. Kola is an aspirant in the People's Redemption Party and is not shy to share in the dreams of his late father for better Nigeria. His challenger in the PRP is Patience Key. Khadija Ukunu Lamidi is a presidential aspirant for the Social Democratic Party. She is one of the female front-runners. She says she's taking the bold steps due to her aspirations for a more equitable, more inclusive, more progressive and viable Nigeria. Okunu Lamidi believes that this upcoming election is a redefining moment for Nigeria. The other contender in the SDP is Adewale Adebayo. Malik Ado Ibrahim is an Igbira prince who is an aspirant in the Young Progressive Party. The smooth-talking businessman will rely on his international exposure to convince electorate that he is the man for the job. But first, he will have to be the last man standing by clinching the nomination ticket. Also in the YPP is Victor Anilaju, who says he's on a journey to reposition Nigeria youths by empowering new talents in education, entertainment and economic growth. While there are others who aspire to be president on the various platforms, these represent the major competition that the APC and PDP will not be taken lightly. Ferdinand Duroha, Arise News.
All right, thank you so much there, Ferdinand Duroha. For more on this, we have in the studio Arise Analysts, Frank Tietie and Abiodun Adeniyi. Glad to have you join us, gentlemen, in the studio. Let's start with, I think the first party is ADC. Let's start with ADC. Well, first of all, what do you even make of all these parties put together competing with the PDP and the APC? Are people aware of these parties, Tietie?
Oh, yes, indeed. You can't have a figure like Rabiu Kwankwaso running the New Nigeria People's Party and not take cognizance of that. Kwankwaso is a thoroughbred politician who's been governor, a two-time governor of the most populous state in northern Nigeria, Kano State. He's not an ordinary politician and is someone that should be watched out for. Members of the All Progressive Congress, typical of the personality of Oju's Okalu, has expressed how important it is to match such a candidate, to have a candidate from the APC that can match Rabiu Kwankwaso. So he's somebody to watch out for. And if ever there's going to be a third force in these coming elections, it's coming from somebody of the personality of Rabiu Kwankwaso.
All right, let's not go ahead of ourselves. Let's begin from the very beginning. Let's start with the AAC, and this really is in alphabetical order. That's the African Action Congress. Omoyele Sowore, 51-year-old, is not new to the race. Abiodun Adeniyi, what are your thoughts? What are their chances? Omoyele Sowore and Nonya Josephine Ezanyeche, a 102-year-old presidential aspirant, to add to that, female. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's okay for us to have these other aspirants, populating the space. It's good for a democratic dispensation. Ordinarily, I respect their brilliance, I respect their courage, their self-belief, But something just keep telling you that there's an air of impossibility amongst many of them, irrespective of their sound ideas, their ability to provide solutions to the myriad of problems bedeviling our country. Their self-belief is quite profound. Ordinarily, I want to think that they are probably positioning themselves for the future, or something is rather positioning them for the future when they will probably have built structures, they will have consolidated on networks that can propel them to the level at which the frontrunners in other political parties are. Their courage is no doubt respectable, but a lot is still left in their ability to displace the frontline runners, in the foremost political parties, the Behemoth, the APC, and the PDP, as the case could be, But of course, they deserve salute for their courage. That has to be underscored, Ngozi.
All right. Back to you, Tietie. We'll have next AP party, and we'll have Professor Christopher Imumolen. What do you know about Professor Christopher?
Not so much, I must confess. These are very new names, and Prof was being gratuitous when he says these guys belong to the team of the future, but somehow for a team to belong to the future, it must be known that somehow it appears that when any individual has made a significant breakthrough in his or her personal life, the next thing he thinks about is to become president. And that is quite okay, because Nigeria is faced with a myriad of problems, and people think that when they see the people run government and they see that they are not resonating much of intelligence, and they compare themselves as being better, they say, okay, we'll give it a shot. And so that's the reflection of some of these individuals who come to say they want to be president at this time. It is a matter of right.
When you say quite okay, what has happened to starting from the bottom up?
It adds up to one's pedigree, especially when it comes to building up a resume that will be, bandied abroad, that you have run for Nigeria's presidency, Africa's most populous country, 7th most populous country in the entire world. I mean, it's a proud thing to achieve in life, indeed.
And also ran. Okay, who are the contenders? Who are the pretenders? We have ADC next, African Democratic Congress. Surprisingly, has more than 7 presidential aspirants. Kingsley Moghalu stands out, definitely. Chukwuka Monye. We have Mani Ibrahim, Ogo Chukwu Nsaka, Ifi George Ofokansi, female aspirant there. Favor Ayodele, Dumebi Kachiku, among others. Well, 7 of them. Which one jumps at you, Adeniyi?
Yeah, with greater respect to all the aspirants that you have highlighted, I'm actually just hearing many of them for the first time. Apart from Kingsley Moghalu and Mani Ibrahim, I've never heard the other names before, but I respect them. Like I said, I respect their courage. Kingsley Moghalu has been around. He ran the last time. He's been deputy governor. I mean, in the last debate, for instance, in 2019, he probably performed, he probably emerged best. And of course, I see him doing the same thing. There's going to be a repeat, But unfortunately, Nigeria's presidency is not about intellectual. It's not about intellection. It's not about ideation. It's unfortunately about something else. Mani Ibrahim is also very sound. He's a technocrat par excellence, and he's been around. He ran the the last time as well. But something is not adding up on the platform on which they are running, and that's the unfortunate aspect of it. And I also doubt if they have the war chest, that characterize, presidential contestation in our land, But it's still okay for us to have these names around, because at the level of populating ideas, giving us notions on how to prepare this nation to the next level, you cannot find them wanting in that aspect. And that's why you admire them really every time they come on air, to talk about their ideas, to talk about solutions to this problem. You keep wondering, why we've not been able to streamline this multiplicity of ideas, being propounded by some of these aspirants, where we've not been able to streamline them, harness them for the good of our country, as the case could be.
All right.
And colleague. Yeah.
All right, to you, Tietie, Frank, Tietie rather. The next is APGA, and the contestant, all the running, pressing who is running is the lady, Angela Johnson. What's her chances?
But for Arise News, that has given much of the publicity to all of these candidates, not much has actually been known about them. And like Prof, I'm coming to know many of them for the first time, except for the front runners. And most of what I know about them actually came from those kind of interviews they had on the Arise News channel. Coming from APGA, it's a party that has missed its place in national politics by concentrating more in regional politics. And for a woman going to APGA, I think, it's also part of the team of the future. Unfortunately for these aspirants, very unfortunate is that we haven't seen much investment from them in terms of building structure in politics. So you cannot reap from where you did not sow. So it's okay that these parties are offering pedestals to these newcomers to aspire to become Nigeria's presidency. But I think there's nothing more than that. All
right. Prof. Adeniyi, next man, though we briefly touched on him earlier. NNPP, that's the New Nigeria People's Party. Rabiu Kwankwaso is running on that platform. He's been described by none other than Orji Kalu as a president in waiting and could be a threat to the APC and the PDP. Do you agree with him?
Well, I think I want to side with what my colleague Tietie said. He could emerge as a third force because he has the experience, he has a rightful pedigree, but his platform is suspect, irrespective of, his ability to match, candidates on the major political parties. But network is very important. It's very important, in a kind of environment. And ordinarily, too, you want to believe that some of these names that we are mentioning, it might even be very dangerous, to begin to isolate them, because some of them might find it very disrespectful with the comments that we want to make around them, because ordinarily you expect that some of these people will begin, maybe from the House of Representatives, from the Senate, before they begin to think about the presidency, because it takes a lot to become the president of a huge nation like Nigeria. It takes a lot. It's not just about ideas. It's not about brilliance. It's not about maybe some academic pedigree or ability to ideate. It takes a lot more than that, irrespective of whatever we want to think. But for Kwankwaso, I think he has all it takes, but his pedestal, the platform on which he's running, is hugely suspect. I want to say.
All right, Tietie, you'll have the last.
If you think about the kind of persons that are gravitating towards Kwankwaso at this moment, professors, members of the intelligentsia, talk about the likes of Patutomi, and a number of them, there seems to be some kind of possible upset that can come in the coming elections. Even though we are known to be a country of two-party system, but something can only come with a personality like Rabiu Kwankwaso. I think it's a man to watch out for.
It's good to dream. We'll watch and see what plays out. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being on the program.